And so I encourage everyone online, if you are someone who is thinking about becoming creative, go ahead. Don't just think about it, start today. Start today and when you start, think about the different avenues that you can protect yourself, because it's very hard when you put in all that hard work and then someone else steals your work.
What if writing a book is not just a way to transform the lives of many people, but also a way to create financial freedom and leave a legacy? Wouldn't you want to find out just how to do that? Well, that's what this show is all about.
Hi, I'm Hennika Watkis Porter, speaker, coach, author of Podcast Power, and the host of the Entrepreneurial You podcast, inviting you to listen to the Authorpreneur Secrets podcast, brought to you by C. Ruth Taylor, best-selling indie author and the Caribbean's most trusted voice on entrepreneurship. Tune in for inspiration, information, and innovation to write and win with books. Get ready to dominate entrepreneurship.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to day 2 of our Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit. And day 1 was lit. And if you enjoyed day 1 and you were with us, drop some fire in the chat. I still can't get over day 1. And day 2 is going to take us on another level. And I know many of you are excited about day 2 because this is the day where we are going to be looking at our author services and all the services that you need to publish your books. And you're going to learn how to publish your book on a budget. And I want you guys to check out all the interviews for day 2. We have different publishing services providers, and you don't want to miss that. Today, we also have with us, and the introductions will take place shortly. We have the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office. We have a representative, and you're gonna get your questions answered. English has been waiting a long time. I know you have questions. I'm gonna ask you to just hold the questions while I put on Miss English from JIPO, and she's gonna talk to us just briefly about intellectual property rights, copyright, trademark, how you can protect your work. And then we're gonna open the floor for questions from anybody for any part of this program so far. All right, so I'm gonna spotlight you now, Miss English, so you can take it away.
Thank you, Ruth, and good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you this morning. I am already motivated and inspired by you all sharing. I'm really excited. I'm certainly going to be doing a lot of perusal of the website more in depth. So as Ruth says, I'm Chantal English, and I am from the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office. I'm an attorney at law, and I'm also the copyright and related rights manager here at JIPO. So I'm also an author. I have 4 published books. So I just feel so happy to hear all of this happening this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to reach out to these people. I mean, yes, awesome. So excellent job. So JIPO, so the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office is an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. And our primary responsibility is the administration of intellectual property laws in Jamaica. So all IP laws, JIPO deals with that. We are also about public education, registration of trademarks, designs, patents, trademarks, and the voluntary deposit of copyright and related rights. So our main focus is public education. So whomever in Jamaica wants information on intellectual property, whichever area, then we are open to do a presentation on that, as well as the registration of all the IP areas. And so the focus this morning is really on copyright and some aspects or some elements of trademark, right? So I mentioned the different areas. So before I go into the areas, intellectual property really deals with the creation of the mind. So whatever the mind thinks about, there is some element of intellectual property that can be associated with it. So right now, I'm in this office and I'm sitting in a chair. There is some element of intellectual property. There is design. It looks at the aesthetic aspect of the article. I am using my computer. This is patent. Before the invention of there was no computers. So now we have computers. I'm wearing a watch. This is also design. I have a paper beside me. There's some content on it that is copyright. There, I'm sure I saw some pretty logo. Well, behind me, you'll see the logo for JIPO. That is trademark. And so everywhere that you go, wherever you are in your own space right now, there are elements of intellectual property. And that's how important IP is. When you wake in the morning, you see IP. When you're going to bed, you see IP. So IP is everywhere. It's very valuable and important. And because of the value that intellectual property has, it's important that, you know, individuals protect their IP. So when we think about copyright, I'll start with copyright first. So copyright really is the Copyright Act of Jamaica defines copyright as a property right. So it means that you have ownership of your work that you create. So it is really the legal right which allows creators of their creative works to do whatever they want to do with their work. So they have the exclusive right to reproduce their work, adapt their work, which is taking the work from one format to another. So as the copyright owner, you have the right, the exclusive right to do anything that you want to do with your work. And Section 9 of the Copyright Act of Jamaica states that you can copy your work, you can issue your work to the public, you can broadcast your work, you can make an adaptation of your work. So if you have a book, you can also transfer that book into a movie, right? That's taking it. You can also make your work available on demand, which is making your work available on the internet. So your book can be on Amazon and all of these other platforms. So persons sometimes tend to think that, oh, your work is on the internet, so it means that it's free and you're able to just use it and copy it like that. No, as a copyright owner, you also have that protection. The law protects you in using your work on a digital platform, an online space. You're also protected. One of the beautiful things about copyright is that copyright protection arises automatically upon creating a work. So you woke this morning at 4 o'clock and you felt inspired and you start writing a poem. As of 5 o'clock this morning, your work is automatically protected. And we get this protection because Jamaica is a party to one of the oldest convention, which is the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Work, an 1886 convention, and it provides for a number of protection. Because Jamaica is a party to that convention, we get some of the benefits and the rights that are afforded in that convention. And one of the rights in that convention is the automatic protection of works once expressed in a tangible format. So it's great to have ideas, but if your idea is still in your head, then there's no way it can be protected. So your idea must be expressed. So once your idea is expressed in a tangible format, you receive automatic protection. Now, usually you would see on your work with that, sometimes you see the formal notice, and the formal notice is the C in the circle, that copyright symbol, and your name and the year of creation. What that does is that it informs the general public that it is my work. But even without that, you are still automatically protected. There are many persons who would call us at JIPO to ask, am I still protected if I don't have that formal notice? Yes, you're still protected. However, the challenge comes when someone claims that it is their work as opposed to yours. And so you need evidence. In anything in law, you're going to need some evidence to say, okay, I own this. How will you prove that I own this? You'll have to have some evidence. And so there are two ways in which you can safeguard your work. And I use safeguard deliberately because, as I said before, copyright protection is automatic. So in terms of safeguarding your work, you would need to do either of the following. One is the poor man's copyright. And for the poor man's copyright, very simple, you would put your work in an envelope. You address that envelope to yourself. And when you get the envelope at home, so you go to the post office, do a registered post to yourself. When you get the envelope at home, you will not open it. You keep it sealed. And in the event of an infringement, that is when you will retain the services of an intellectual property attorney who will now represent you, act on your behalf. And when you are in court, the intellectual property attorney will adduce that envelope into evidence. And that's when it will be open, and then your work will be taken out to show that you created that work at a particular time, right? That's one way. Now at JIPO, because of the general concern of the citizens, in 2015, we amended our Copyright Amendment Act to facilitate the voluntary copyright registration service. And so at JIPO, we have a register where individuals can deposit their work with us. And once they deposit their work with us, they receive a certificate. And that certificate, similar to the envelope, the registered post that you share, just serves as evidence that you have deposited the work with our office and you declare that you are the author and or the owner of the work in question. Now, we as the IP office have custody of the work that is on our system. So we have to keep the work for the time frame or the time extension for the life of the copyright. So for copyright works, the life is the term of protection is life and 95 years after death. So if it is that your work falls within the ambit of a literary work, which would include your books or poems or lyrics, then it is your life plus 95 years after death. Now, the reason why I mentioned 95 years after death is because it's very important, because like your real property, you can also make allocations in your last will and testament for your intellectual property. And so that I think is very vital. So writing is extraordinary. As I heard about the BambuSparks, it really is a spark. It's something that gets going and it keeps going. So even after you've left the earth, you are no longer here, your family members can also benefit from your intellectual property. So that's a little bit on copyright. And so when we talk about trademarks now, trademarks really are signs that are graphically represented. That is usually attributed to a particular goods or services, so it distinguishes one from the other. And so you'd see the trademark, the logo for JIPO. When you see this, you know this is JIPO. When you see a KFC or another logo, BambuSparks, you will know the distinction because they're graphically represented and it speaks to a particular, refer to a particular goods or services that are not attributed to a particular entity. Now, for trademarks are, think about signs, logos. So like your title of a book, that will protect as a trademark, not a copyright. So you can protect the title of the book as a trademark. You can protect your name as a trademark. You can protect your website as a trademark. You can register those at JIPO as well. And you just need to complete the TM1 trademark forms. And again, backtracking to copyright, all the forms can be found on our website. There's an application form, a declaration form for copyright works. And you just declare to us, you know, what works you have. And the fee is very, very minimal. So for example, you have a book that is under 100 pages. To deposit the work for your life and 95 years after death is 2,000 Jamaican dollars, right? So yes, so and you receive your certificate and you can have it displayed in your house, well framed and all these things, right? So intellectual property is vital, and I believe that, you know, I encourage Jamaican citizens at all times to protect your work. So yes, it's automatically protected, but you want to have that evidence. So when you have that evidence, you have some ground to stand on. And so I just want to encourage everyone to visit our website, www.jipo.gov.jm, and I'm seeing Ruth sharing it as well. And feel free to, and we're also on Facebook, we're also on Twitter, we're also on Instagram. So feel free to reach out to JIPO if it is that you have any questions. If you want want us to go through the forms with you, we'll be happy to do that. So anything that you have that you want, any information you have on intellectual property, you want us to guide you on, we are happy to do so. And so I think I've been thinking for a little bit, so I'm going to wrap up now and to say that intellectual property is also very, very vital in terms of your financial gain and development, because once you have intellectual property, as you heard from Ruth earlier, it brings financial freedom. And so I encourage everyone online, if you are someone who is thinking about becoming creative, go ahead. Don't just think about it, start today. Start today, and when you start, think about the different avenues that you can protect yourself, because it's very hard when you put in all that hard work and then someone else steals your work. So remember to think smart, work smart, and also to protect your work. Thank you so much for inviting JIPO, Ruth. We really appreciate being here. And again, if there are any questions, we're happy to. Intellectual property is so broad, it's so difficult to put it in just one time slot, but I'm certain that, you know, if there are persons who have questions about other IP areas, I'll be happy to also explain those. Over to you, Ruth. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Miss English. Wow. I trust that you learned something from that, and don't forget to join us next week, where we are going to be sharing the question and answer segment that went along with this presentation, because I'm sure you're going to hear some of the questions that you are asking about copyright and trademark, and the answers provided during the summit by both Miss English and myself will be helpful. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Don't forget to share it with a friend and just spread the word. We want more for Caribbean authors at home or in the diaspora to write and publish our stories, all right? And we want you to learn to take charge of your publishing, go pen it to win it, and dominate authorpreneurship. Ta for now, until next time.
I'm Tamara Francis, educator and editor. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share the podcast with your network. If you'd like to increase your impact and income with books, visit AuthorpreneurSecret.com for more resources, including the books Pen It to Win It and Authorpreneur Secrets. Join the Authorpreneur Secret Academy membership group for courses, coaching, and community support to write, publish, and win with books. Enrollment is in January and June each year. You may also sign up for one of Ruth's Publishing Made Easy courses or private coaching to write and publish your next book. Until next time, go pen it to win it.